Hello, 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 hello. We are back. We are back. We are back. And today we have a neurologist. We have Dr. Kim Johnson Hatchett, who is going to be talking about 5 things that she does for her health as a neurologist. And this is very important, guys. This is the kind of thing that's going to keep our brain health together. As usual, I'm Reverend Dr. Brooke Brimm. This is Holistic Health Over 50. We are here to encourage you to just do everyday things that you can do, accessible things you can do to make yourself healthy over 50. Why? Because we are trying to extend our health span, not just our lifespan. Because as we know, we can live with pills, right? But we might not feel like ourselves. So what we're really trying to do is make sure that we can feel like ourselves as long as possible. And the way that we do that is start those holistic health things right now. So I'm going to welcome Dr. Kim. How are you?
I am really good. Really good. Thanks for having me. My name is Dr. Kimberly Johnson Hatchett. I am a neurologist, but I'm also a wife and a mom of two. I have a 8 and 9 year old, but I am also close to 50, so I had those kids pretty late.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in the Midwest. Um, my background is varied. I come from a finance and banking background, and decided to go into medicine because I had realized I had an aptitude for science. And I've had a pretty arduous journey to where I am right now. Currently, I work as a chief medical officer of my hospital, but I also am passionate about health and improving the health of us as we age, specifically women as we age. Um, and like you, I feel like there are so many things that we can do. Even though I am a medical doctor and I do prescribe medications, I know that our bodies have so many things within us to heal ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of us tapping into those things. So that's pretty much me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I also want everyone to understand that I want you to take your pills. If you've gotten to the point where you need your medicine, I want you to take your medicine. But just like what I think we talked about before, that you may have a visit to go see your doctor, and there's a stretch between that visit. And this is what we're talking about, the in between, the things you need to do between your pills, between your doctor visits, right? Things that you can empower yourself with. So I don't want anybody to think that we're on here talking about don't take your pills, because I'm not about that life. Do whatever you need to do to stay healthy and to expand that health span, because that's what we're looking to extend the health span. Okay, so Dr. Kim, talk about the 5 things you do for your health. Let's start with mental. What do you do for your
Mental.
mental? Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I do for my mental health is I recognize and really try to minimize stress, because I know what stress can do, not only to your brain, but to the rest of your body. It can cause lots of GI issues. It can cause blood pressure issues, which in turn can mess with, any organ in your body. So I try to manage my stress. And so some of the things that I do from a stress management standpoint is I pray. I do a lot of prayer before I go to bed, when I wake up in the morning. Gratitude prayers is something that kind of grounds me. But then, in addition to that, when I do feel the stress come on, I try to of course, recognize it and then breathe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big believer in box breathing. And I do that. Even, I mean, they have it on your phone now that you can actually do meditation and breathing on your phone. So it can kind of center you and bring your heart rate down.
So
So,
let's pause right there and tell us more about what box breathing is.
so I want you to imagine a
Mm-hmm.
box. And so you're going to inhale going up the box. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to hold your breath as the box goes over,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to breathe out as the box comes down.
Okay.
You're going to hold your breath and inhale. So you're imagining you're
So
inhaling.
in, hold, exhale, hold, in, hold, exhale, hold,
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you. That,
So
yeah.
that's something that I found it on this Stoic app,
Mm-hmm.
Stoic app, and that's something that I've tried to do. I try to do that when I start to feel the stress come on. I know some people do box breathing to center themselves in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But that is one thing that I think from a spiritual standpoint, I actually, I'm a practicing Christian, but I'm not, I'm kind of a Corinthian type of Christian. I
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
don't do right half the time. But Lord is
Well,
working on us.
okay, we gonna come back to that. But anyway, because was doing right. But anyway, keep going.
So my point is, and I'm a believer, but I cuss a little.
Yeah.
So it's it's
Yeah.
it's a work in progress, but I do believe in gratitude and understanding the blessings of life, and really just kind of putting that into perspective.
Right.
Really, just recognizing that things could be so much worse than
Mm-hmm.
what they really are. So that's how I deal with my stress.
I love that you have, when we talked about mental health, it seems like to me your spiritual health is like so easily tied right into your mental health. So I want to go into spirituality because a couple different things. Okay, so I'm a metaphysical practitioner based in Christianity, and I curse too. That means I'm a minister. I went to seminary. I curse too. So, because I'm a strong believer myself in that your spiritual journey is yours. It's
Mhm,
very
mhm.
personal, and it's no one can tell you what should be on it. Like, I
Right.
think we're out of that time of someone taking a top down approach and telling us what should be on our spiritual journey, right? So gratitude, like I'm a big gratitude journaler as well, so it seems like gratitude is a big part of your spiritual journey and also your mental journey. What else is part of your spiritual journey?
I mean, I think my husband and I were talking about this the other day that, our spiritual journey should not be connected to any one religion, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's what has held a lot of our people back, is that
Mhm.
we have been held to one religion. And not that anything's wrong with that, but that religion has been used against us for
Right.
centuries. And so in that, in learning and in being around, in the medical field, you're around all these different people from all over the world, all these different religions, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I actually got the chance to spend some time in China when I was a medical student.
Mhm.
And so that time that I spent in China, I was around a lot of people who were Buddhist. And I found that their spirituality was based on, really, like you said, a very individual relationship
Mhm.
with individual relationship with the person that they felt was their deity.
Right.
And so I think that that's where, for me, spirituality is a very personal, very something that I try to get to even my children when we
Mhm.
pray. It's a conversation. It's not
Right.
a bunch of these and thous and whatever. It's a very like poignant conversation, and very meeting their God where they are as a kid,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'm meeting God where I'm at as
Mm.
a 48-year-old woman.
Yes.
Been
Yes.
through some things. And
Mhm.
so it's like that's to me what spirituality is about, is understanding what you believe and why you believe it, and not allowing anyone else to force something onto you.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what spirituality means for me.
I love that. Now, here we are. It is January 9th, 2025. And a couple days ago, yesterday, a couple days ago, there has been a viral moment that happened around a young lady who was pregnant at the church, forced to go to the front of the church and apologize to the church. Yeah, they still doing that in 2025. Apologize to the church for being pregnant. And the minister was like, she can't have a baby shower. And her parents better not give her a baby shower, and nobody better not give her a baby shower. So this moment kind of went viral. And it really sparked a conversation, to your point, about how Christianity, which is our main, but Islam is also pretty big in our community as well. And it's kind of been used in the same way, used to, oppress women, to push an agenda, to do sometimes what one leader of a church wants you to do. Because that's what this guy was like, really adamant, and I guess daring her mother, her family, to celebrate her child, support her and celebrate this life. It's a life. Who cares if you believe how it got here or not? But it's a person, a life that's to be celebrated. You don't know how far they're going to go, what they are here to do for the world, what they're here to offer. None of that. All you're focused on is that they didn't do what you say do, or what you feel like your book told you to do, even though we're not going to talk about what Jesus would do, right? Because Jesus wouldn't do that.
Right.
But you have a book that you feel like needs to be followed, or the way you do it at your church. And it really did spark a conversation in online amongst Black people about how we've allowed Christianity to shape things for us. Like, I'm not against Christianity. I read the Bible often, but at the same time, I do what me and God want me to do, because I'm clear about that. So I just found it, just thinking about what you were saying, I just found it interesting that in 2025, we're still doing things like we're dragging people to the front of the church. Like, where was the man? Just her. No man. Dragging people to the front of the church, apologizing, cutting out baby showers and all this kind of stuff. And I think that God is bigger than that. And God wants more for us than that. And I pray that each individual can find what God wants for you and what that relationship is supposed to be for you, and that it can just expand and blossom and help you to better your life and the life of other people. So we're going to move on to physical.
Okay.
What do you do for your physical health?
So I do lift weights, and that is something that I think, as a woman who is perimenopausal, I have, the symptoms of sometimes brain fog and, strangely enough, itchy ears. It's so strange. Anyway, my ears itch all the time. And somebody said, they're just dirty. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not dirty. My ears
Yes.
it's like a strange itch. And my doctor was like, it's probably your perimenopause. I said, great. That's awesome. So I lift weights, and it's because I don't want to become weak. I know that I have patients who they just don't lift anymore. They don't realize that this is like brushing your teeth. You have got to lift weights. I told my parents this the other day. I said, this is for the rest of your life, guys. This
Yeah.
is not for me to fit into a bikini. Those days are long gone. This is about me being able to get up off the toilet when I'm 90 years old.
Right. Right. And not about
So
not falling.
right,
Right.
not falling and breaking my hip. So I lift weights. I still do some cardio. I don't do as much cardio as I used to, but I still do some cardio, which is some high intensity and some high intensity interval training. I
Yes.
do that like twice a week. And I walk. I do a lot of like the incline walking. And I'm a big Peloton freak. So I get on my Peloton bike and the Peloton apps and all that stuff. So that's how I kind of do my physical stuff. I do mainly weight training. So 5 days a week I do weight training. And then I sprinkle some cardio in there, just to kind of keep my heart health together.
I love that well, that's how I found you, right? I saw a video that I think went viral for you. Did it go viral? I think so.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of did. It was on something I did on a humdrum, and I was like,
Yeah. And that's how virility, that's how it works. Virality. I always call virility, but it's virality, I think. That's how it works. If you just put something out there and then blows up. But that's how I found you, talking about brain health and moving your muscles and how it can affect you. And we had a social worker on, and she talked about lifting weights and mental health. And I hadn't thought about it, right? Because I have been a yogi for many years, right? So big into stretching, and with yoga there is some strength training, but mostly it's stretching and breathing and mindfulness. And I moved back home to New Jersey. I've lived in the South for 30 years, and I moved back to New Jersey just a year ago, just over a year ago. And when I got back here, because it's so much colder, I noticed that there was arthritis in my hip. Like, and when I was in the South, it was warm. It was like, oh, a little something maybe. But when I got here back home in the cold, I was like, ooh, I can hardly move. This is crazy. My mother has arthritis. So I was like, oh, this is a serious issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going back to weight trainings. I've done weight training off and on since I was 17, but I was like, okay, just like what you say, this is now a lifelong thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is not when I was for my many years, I've tried this, I've tried Tybo, I tried this, all these different. Nope, now this is it. This is where I am. I have to keep these, and then working with seniors, I do sell senior home care. Working with seniors, I see this is important. This is a serious thing. So as you said, it's from now on, the rest of my life. I gave my mother some weights, but I have to make sure that she's after them. But for the rest of my life, weight training has to be a part of that, because I just really got to understand that I've already gone through menopause. I finished at 47 and I'm 55 now. So I found out, which I didn't realize, that, without having that estrogen, those bones and everything are just not straight, and you have to do not strong. So you have to do that weight training.
You have to.
Well, yeah. So now it is like, that's it. It's a part of my life. It's never going to change. Like, weight training is just what's up. And again, like you said, it's not for vanity anymore.
Right.
For years after having babies or whatever, I would work out just for vanity. It's not for that anymore. It's for health span.
What these kids are doing.
I'm sorry.
My kids are acting so wild. I can hear giggling. Just giggle, giggle, giggle.
And that's
anyway,
what they wait until you're doing something to start showing out. But anyway, yes. So I'm really happy to hear you talk about the weight training. Can you just talk a little bit more about the weight training and the mental, and like keeping your brain strong? Because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but like by 2050, the amount of people that have dementia is going to triple. Right, what it is right now. So anybody who's watching that and they're like in their 50s, like we are, or you're not 50 yet, but close to 50 or in their 50s, understand that in 2050, that's going to be us. So if you could talk a little bit about weight training and dementia, I would love that.
Okay, so that is something that a lot of people have done research on. There's like lots of research about strength training and how strength training can decrease your risk of developing dementia. Why? So there's certain things that happen when you're strength training. One of them is the release of growth hormone. And that growth hormone can go to certain parts of your brain that really influence growth, influence brain health, influence areas that are involved in memory and executive function. So that is something that only happens when you're lifting weights. So that's why doing it one and done is not going to help. You have to do it on a consistent basis, because you want to continually give your body that supply of growth hormone, right? In addition to that, though, the strength training, if you do it right, you're increasing your heart rate. And, I think that a lot of people don't think of strength training as also combo cardio training, but you're getting your heart rate up if you're actually strength training the right way. When I mean by that, I mean, you're actually doing enough weight to cause you to be like, oh goodness, I might not make this third set in. This is heavy.
Enough.
Yes. So those are the things that I think about from a brain health standpoint, is that it's increasing not just my heart rate, but also my cardiovascular system, and increasing the blood flow to my brain. But it's doing that growth hormone is the thing that I just really want to focus on. Like that's what's really very helpful when it comes to brain health. And you know what? I didn't really talk about the brain health when it came to stress, but there are studies that show also can cause you to have brain shrinkage in areas where you don't want to have brain shrinkage, like your frontal area. So the executive decision making area can cause shrinkage in those areas. It can also cause growth in the areas that are related to fear. So that is why you want to manage your stress as well. So to go back on stress and stress management and even the spirituality part of it. So being able to focus on your spirituality and decreasing your stress is also very paramount in brain health.
Okay, so we're going to do nutrition.
Nutrition.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so when it comes to nutrition, there's a few things that from a brain standpoint are super important. Number one's easy, hydration. So drinking water is something that I think, even though it sounds simple, even in my day to day, if I'm not deliberate about how much water I drink, I won't drink enough water. And what do I mean by enough water? So if you're thinking about staying truly hydrated, there's two signs. You want to make sure your urine, your pee, is clear. Like it shouldn't be a strong, like yellow, like the yellow that's in nutrition. Your urine should not be that yellow. That's a sign of dehydration. And then excessive thirst. A lot of people take water to bed with them, and I'm one of those people. I take water to bed with me every night, because sometimes I wake up feeling thirsty and I want to just drink some water, and I have this like fear of having a wake up stroke, and it's something that I saw when I was a resident. I saw people who woke up with stroke symptoms, and one thing that we found was they were dehydrated. We could look at their blood count and look at their blood numbers, and there's these two numbers you can look at and see if someone's dehydrated, and they were 9 times out of 10 dehydrated. So hydration is one of them from a nutrition standpoint. The other one is something that's near and dear to your heart is vegetables and plant-based diet. So I am not a vegetarian nor vegan. However, I do push myself to eat a lot of fresh vegetables as
Mhm.
well as cooked vegetables. I like collard greens a lot.
Mhm.
Um, but I found a way to make them without the pork and without the the meat things that you have to put in there that most people think to make them taste good.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I do a lot of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and more of a low fat but high protein type of diet. So my protein things are from beans, from actual plants, from legumes, things
Mhm.
like that. But in addition, I eat some fish
Mhm.
and I eat some chicken. But I try to be very strategic about the quality of the food that I eat,
Mhm.
and look at from an organic standpoint. Like I'm really a label reader. I try not to eat any high processed foods,
Mhm.
like chips and things like that. So that's pretty much what I would say from a nutrition standpoint, because that's what you're feeding, not just your brain, but every cell in your body. Every
Mhm.
cell in your body is made up of what you have put into it. So if you want your body to optimally run optimally, then you need to feed it fuel that's optimized. And feeding it, fast food, or feeding it food that is highly processed, is making your cells are going to be made out of that highly processed crap, and you wonder why you feel bad. So that's basically from a nutrition standpoint what I would think.
Wow. Okay. I want to just say one thing. Um, I really love that she's talking about adding more fruits and vegetables. I just heard a study today that was saying you don't have to be vegan, you don't have to be vegetarian, you just need to eat a lot of plants. So I really, really love that Dr. Kim is emphasizing that. Lastly, we're going to go into sexuality. Last one, sexuality.
So sexuality is an interesting subject. It's interesting, yeah, but it's something that we have to think about from a health standpoint, because we are sexual beings. All of us got here because somebody had sex and made us, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I think that it's more than just the act. It's about having a relationship with yourself, as well as having a relationship with your partner, and that goes so much deeper than just those 20-30 hour experiences that you might have every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as you age, the quality of your relationship, I think, is what becomes even more special. Having those deep conversations, really understanding where that person's coming from in all aspects of their life. And recognizing that, you might have a wonderful night and just want to go to sleep
Yes.
and hold hands as you go to sleep. That's something that my husband and I do a lot. Like, we'll fall
Mhm.
asleep holding hands, and it's just as nice as if we had done a whole bunch of other stuff because both of us were tired. So, but recognizing that. So I
Mhm.
think having that mutual respect for one another, having those amazing conversations, making each other laugh is like like it to me. That's one of the best things. Like, my husband makes me laugh so much. Like, he tells me stories and I'm crying, I'm laughing so hard.
Mhm.
And those are the things that sexually turn me on and make me want to be around him. But then in the moment, it's like, okay, I want to make sure that he's happy. I want to make sure that we're having this moment, and it's really good cardiovascular. Let's just think about that. But from a person who's getting, a little bit older, I want people to understand that that part of your life, just like lifting weights, that part of your life is never going to go away.
Right.
You're still going to have those desires, those wants,
Mhm.
but you're also going to, I would hope, crave those relationships to even go deeper
Yeah.
and to have that respect and have that um amazing connection.
Mhm.
And it doesn't necessarily even have to be with a spouse, because there's a lot of women out there and men who are, in friendships, in relationships that aren't marriage, and they still have very deep, amazing connections with people.
Yeah, that's true. I love that. Thank you so much. So, in final words, we are going to tell you where you can find Dr. Kimberly J. Hatchett. You can find her on her website. She's going to do a newsletter that you guys can sign up for. So, you go to her website and you can get the newsletter. If you also want to see some of her wisdom on Instagram, go ahead and check out her Instagram, Dr. Kim Neurodoc. Um, and she is over there giving us the wisdom that we need and the little nuggets that we need. So I really, really, really appreciate you taking this time. I'm going to let you go ahead and get back to your kids. Um, and I will see you out on the internet. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.